I got my new cabinets up, so I got all my cars out. And one of the things that's interesting is most of these cars don't get used because when you have a group of pretty competitive people over, I would say maybe 10% of these cars ever see the track actually in a regular race setting because they're just not good. So if you can either try to tune all your cars, which I've done a little bit of, but some of them just can't be helped. So let's take a look at this car, for example. I got this car, it's an old Carrera car, and it does not have a rear magnet, and the front magnet is somewhat dubious. Um, it just really doesn't have any chance of keeping up. I put some Pioneer tires on the back, so it's got pretty decent grip. I'm going to have a chance to use this today in a pretty competitive race. It's going to be very challenging using the Ghost car setup in the software. Let me show you how I set that up.
So we're going to use the Yingling software, and we're going to run multiple ghost cars. This is possible because I've added the Racing Solutions lane gates, Digital Racing Solutions lane gates. So we're just going to have controller 2 turned on. I'm going to go in and assign myself this particular car, and you can see it's up there. There's only going to be one car. We go into the race settings here, and what we want to do is we're going to count ghost cars, count laps for ghost cars, and we're going to set the minimum lap time to 1 second. And we're going to set it as 4 ghost cars running, but we're actually going to be running 6 ghost cars. Everything else is pretty much the same, so we can just start 40 laps, and we'll start the race and see how it works. By telling the computer that there's only 4 ghost cars when I'm running 6, they're actually going to be picking up a few extra laps. And by setting this at 1 second, I can adjust that later and maybe bump that up a little bit. We'll see how this goes. I'm just kind of doing this on the fly, seeing how it works out. Hopefully I can set myself up a competitive race so that I can do okay. We had a little bit of a glitch at the start, but let's see. So we're off, and I realized I forgot to press record on one of the devices, so I'm going to have to shut things down. We get around the outer loop pretty good. You can see me coming in the back of the little orange blur. They're bunching up a little bit. I catch up to them, and look at this bunch up. And because of that, one of the cars stops on a dead spot. So I got 2 reasons to stop the race, and I'm going to have to hit the kill switch and stop it right here. Turn on the record device, and there we go. Everything stops. Flashing lights comes on, and we're going to reset things, push record, and take off again. So here we go. I'm coming out around, tiptoeing around the inside of the 7-Eleven, slowed up a little bit too much, and bam, I run into this GTO. It had stopped on the hill, and I whacked into it, and I thought I was still in the slot, but when this Camaro goes past, it vibrates the track, and I drift back down, so I have to stop again. 2 stops. That was on me because I whacked into the GTO. Here we go, taking off. Look at this Mustang Ghost car harassing me, trying to plow me out of the way. I got to get away from this maniac. I'm up and around the corner, and I'm down the straightaway for the first lap. Here we go. Look at that orange blur. First lap, a non-impressive 86-second lap. So we had a glitch, and then I had a wreck. So the first lap was terrible, and I'm already a lap behind. Here we go, around the outer loop. I'm picking up some time past the Camaro. We come around here. I'm going to go back down the inner loop pretty quick. Look at me go past the crowd on the top. Tiptoeing around the 7-Eleven again. That's tricky. Up and down the hill. Clean. No GTO in my way this time. Going around the control tower. The Mustang's trying to keep up with me there. But I come up from underneath the underpass, pull past him, back down the straightaway, and for my second lap. Much more respectable 13.6. Not bad for this car at all. So I really got to start passing these guys. I'm on the outer loop now, coming up through here. Make it around here. Go back down the inner loop. And look at this shot here. I slowed this down. I got 6 ghost cars on there with the lane gate. They don't run into each other. They don't switch lanes, run into each other. So back down around the 7-Eleven, this is pretty smooth. I just got to navigate cars. And here I get stuck behind that GTO, and then he changed lanes in front of me. Slows me down a little bit for this lap, but that lap was a respectable 14.1. But look at their lap times. They are really starting to beat me up with that multiple cars on the same lap count. So here I go coming around the outer loop, and I get slowed down by this silver GTO. This thing is becoming a pain in the buttocks. I go around to the inner loop. I'm still tailgating him, and what's happened is it allowed that stupid Mustang to get up and pass me again. So we pick up this slow 57 Bel Air. We're following him around, following him around. We go underneath the bridge. The Mustang takes him out and shoves him into our lane. See what happened? And then the Mustang just took off and gapped us. So we had a bit of a crash right there, and we go down there, and here's my lap. You can see that I got a 15 on that one. It's not terrible, but they're now 2 laps ahead of me. I got to really catch up to them. I forgot there was a wrecked Chevy sitting in the track. The Camaro plows into it. It's going to bring out another caution. I'm going to have to reset things. I lose a little time on each reset. So here we go. I got some lost time to make up for, and we're going to restart. I'm coming tearing off, going around to the inner loop, bound down the straightaway, around the 7-Eleven, back up and down the hills, behind the stupid GTO again. I get around him, he gets around me back again at the bottom of the hill, but coming up the hill, I get around him, take off down the back stretch, past the start finish line, still 2 laps down. Time to pick up the pace. I'm coming around the outer loop, coming up through here, and you can see the gap that the Mustang has on me. There goes the Mustang, there goes me. I got to catch up to him, and boom, go too fast into the curve or wind up on my roof. It's just a stupid error on my part. Look at the gap that everyone puts on me because I'm laying there upside down. It was a wreck on my part. I take off again, and what do you know? That GTO has caught up to me again, my good old buddy there. So I got to leave him behind, get around the control tower, get around him, come up through here, tear down the thing, and it's another lap. But yeah, they got 3 laps on me now, so things are looking pretty grim. So I come around the outer loop through the transition to the inner loop. Not a lot of traffic right now. They're kind of bunched up a little bit ahead of me. Make it around pretty clean. Yeah, they're in a bunch. I'm about to hit some traffic, but right now that was a pretty smooth lap, and that was the best lap time I had so far. So back around the outer loop, they're all in the same lane ahead of me. They're all bunched up. I try to change lanes to get around them, and for some reason I end up getting stopped on this dead spot, and the Camaro plows into me, knocking me out of the slot. So that resets on me. We get set up. You can see how far ahead of us they are. They gapped us pretty good. Every time there's a reset, I lose a lot of time to these ghost cars. So here we go. We're going to try to catch up to them, and this is where I start getting a little desperate to try to catch up to them. I come around the 7-Eleven. You can see right here. Look at the top. I was sideways coming out of that curve. Yeah, I gotta catch them, but at the same time, more wrecks are just going to breed more and more and more wrecks. So that was another lap. Again, a slow lap because of the accident, but as you can see, they are now 4 laps ahead of me. The red Trans Am's ahead of me. I'm coming around the outer loop and through the transition. He switches at that lane change, giving me clean air. I managed to take off and get a pretty smooth lap in without a lot of drama going on. 12-1. I'm still 4 laps down, but I'll take one smooth lap. So here we go. I'm around the outer loop, through the transition, back around the inner loop, and I just take the curve too fast, spin out, and cause a multi-car pile-up right here. That was just trying to make up too much ground. I'm 4 laps down. I got to make it up. So we reset the car, and when we go to take off, they get a little bit of a jump on me because I got to reach down and pick up my controller. And this guy starts bullying me a little bit. I try to get away, and he just finishes me off right here, right in front of the 7-Eleven. Um, so yeah, that's kind of whatever. Now I reset it, and because I have to reach down to pick up my controller, the guy slams me too. So it's starting to look like prison rules out here. I think playtime is over. I make it back across another pretty bad lap. Still 4 laps down, but I'm going to keep trying. I make it around the outer loop through the transition, back around the inner loop, spin out a little bit. I think my tires are starting to fade. I'm starting to pick my way a little bit. I think the last couple of crashes slowed me down, but make a good clean lap, no traffic. Got a decent time, not really good, but they're now 5 laps ahead. I'm going to lose. Next, I'm around the outer loop through the transition, around the inner loop, coming back around 7-Eleven through the hills, and a couple of the ghost cars got themselves tangled up underneath the bridge. We had to stop momentarily to get them straightened up. And the Camaro ghost car, its tires are starting to get crazy. It's getting a little bit weak. So come back around, make it back across. Another lap delayed by problems, but I am 5 laps down. Not going to give up. I'm going around the outer loop through the transition, back around the inner loop to get some guy ahead of me. And look what happens here. I try to change lanes at that same spot, and it just kind of stutters out and stops. And then I get plowed into, then I get plowed into again. And that lane change for some reason causes me to have a little bit of a problem. So I'm not going to use that anymore. Back around 7-Eleven, the Trans Am passes me. I got to get back around this guy. We go up around the corner, and this is one of the failures of the lane gates. If you're going a lot faster than the other car, the ghost car changes into me, and we have a heck of an accident. And somehow or other, I wound up 8 laps down. I think I was actually wrecking and missed the lap counter that time. But yeah, I'm in a deep hole. So here we go again, back around the outer loop, through the transmission. I'm going to come around, hopefully get a nice clean lap this time. There's a lot of cars on the track. Yeah, this lap was pretty smooth, and just like that, boom. That lap was a lot better, 13.5. I will take that all day long. So I kind of got settled in and started putting together some consistent laps. The ghost cars were doing pretty good, and I took the Camaro off because its tires got dirty and it started wrecking. So now I was down to 5 cars, but I could not close up on these guys. So if you're going to do this, maybe if you have some suggestions, you could leave them in the comments. But if you're going to set up some kind of a race like this, it works pretty well. You can fiddle around with the number of ghost cars that the computer thinks are on the track, because what it will do is it'll record a lap. Right now it'll record the lap every time there are 4 ghost cars crossing. Well, there are 6 of them on the track. And not to try to, you know, cover for my incompetence here, but I did wreck a few times. These ghost cars are actually pretty good. They have the double magnets. All of them have Paul Cage tires, and I got a car that's not that good, which is what I wanted to do. So maybe I should have used 5 as the setting instead of 4, which would have made them a little bit less, you know, likely to run up laps on me. The other option may have been to put in a minimum lap time of better than 1 second, so that if they crossed really close together, it wouldn't count. So if you had 2 of them, you know, going, you know, real, the minimum lap time allows you to use bracket racing, but I could have put in there 4 seconds, and then occasionally they would have skipped a lap. But it was pretty tough keeping up to these guys. And I just say that the digital racing solutions, I'm not affiliated with them. The lane gates, they're worth putting in if you want to run ghost cars. If you have an aftermarket power supply, you can probably run 10 ghost cars. And I think it's just kind of neat. You got to dodge around them and stuff like that. Um, I guess it's similar to playing a video game, but I kind of like it. So if you give it a try, if you got any suggestions, just leave a comment. All right, everybody, just enjoy your hobbies, and thanks for watching out there.